it over.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to Tuesday's April 11th edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. I'm Joel Elconin, along here with Dennis Dick. Spencer Israel is on his way back from New Jersey, taking a little break for Passover. We got some news to cover. UAL in the news, a debacle by the CEO with an email. Problems lingering at Wells Fargo. Crude over $53, keeping a bid in the market. Some action in Disney, Mickey D's. We're all surprised by the reverse split in DryShips. We got a takeout of retail may not in the retail sector, and some other price action to keep an eye on today. Looking at the S&P futures, just hanging out in a 2350 handle as usual. Just let me note how many closes we've had just in this area. Going back to, let's see here, going back for the last four sessions. Here are your closes: 53.75, 52 and a quarter, 52 and a half, and 46.50. So a lot of consolidation. Crude, as I mentioned, did get to 53.23, hanging out at 53.04. Gold in the green by $4.30, $12.55.40. Silver showing a little bit of a gain here in the pre-market trading. Dennis, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. A little pullback here in the market as we get ready. We're getting ready for earnings season, Joel. It's coming. It's coming.
You called it, Dennis. You called, a choppy day, inside day yesterday.
Yeah.
You did get a little bit over the top of the range, and then we had a strange break midday. Not sure what that was attributed to, but when we came down to that 2340 handle, and everyone was getting excited. Oh, we're going to have a major break. I'm like, you know what? Just make it. The shorts will give them a little bit of a heat and rebounded back into the 2350 handle. So you like your half and whole numbers. 2350, that's a big level to keep an eye on.
Let's jump into individual stock news. There is a little bit here this morning. Like we said, we're going to get an earnings season, so then it's going to be all earnings pretty much every day. So enjoy this while we don't have a ton of stocks to talk about. But let's talk, the movers here of the day. First of all, I just want to recap Tesla because, man, you cannot stop this stock. It goes up another 10 points yesterday. I mean, it is just, in blast off mode here again. Got a little bit of love on CNBC last night, but it doesn't even seem to matter. Market goes down. Tesla just finds a bid. This has got to be the most loved stock on the street right now. And it's been an incredible run here. If you just go back just into when Trump got elected, go back to November, the stock was $182. It's now tacked on 140 points here in 4.5 months. That isn't, or 5 months. That is an impressive move.
Right, and just looking at what's going on today in the stock, 312.90 is where it's currently trading. Big update yesterday, and not even really pulling back. That all-time high close was 312.39. The only number I can give you on the upside is yesterday's high at 313.73, and just based on the 15-minute chart here, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but it seems like you got a little seller here up near the all-time high. So maybe 314 if you're looking for a breakout into another handle.
Yeah, so difficult. Again, I'll just reiterate my point is I'm late to this party here on Tesla. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon up here at 312. It could continue, but it's going to continue without me. Not shorting it. It's a Nick Shaheen who we're going to have on 835. The whole scenario of too hot to chase, too high to short, I can't ever get it right, Joel. Can you say it? Too high to chase, too hot to short?
Yes.
I think that's right. I should just write it down a little sticky on my thing because I say it every other show and I always say it wrong. So it's like you and NVIDIA. You always say NVIDIA wrong.
No, I haven't said it wrong today.
I should have to put a quarter every time I say that saying wrong.
NVIDIA.
You got it. Yay, Joel. Whole Foods yesterday, wow, blast off into orbit. It comes out that Jana Partners has taken a stake. That's just after 2 o'clock. You can see stock was trading just above 31. Within seconds, the high frequency traders had her up to 34 there, obviously. And the news bots on that Jana's taking a 9% stake in Whole Foods. Obviously looking, at maybe getting a little active there. This is a stock that 28 level we talked about so much. That had to be one of the biggest support levels I had ever seen. Go out to the monthlies,
Okay.
and you can see for 2 years we kept finding support at $28, hard support. When we got down there into the 28 handle, again, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading sessions ago, we were at 28.38. Now we're trading at 34.10, so it's been blast off here for Whole Foods. They're hoping Jana's going to get and kick these guys in the butt and get them going here. We don't know, obviously, if that's going to materialize or not. All I can tell you, it's been an impressive move here for Whole Foods. The other thing I can tell you here is that you have some resistance up here, Joel. If you go up to 2016, 27, in 2016, you had multiple highs in the $35 area. That's where we're getting close to here now. So what are your technical thoughts?
Exactly. I was look at this 2-year consolidation.
2-year range.
Yeah, 2-year range. So, man, you know what? I'm not going to get bearish on it here. I mean, I would look at 35 if I, had, some money in my pocket from, buying it at 28 like you did. I'd be looking at 35 as an area. 34.66 was yesterday's high. But you just have to I can't say, 35 is the exact number. But let's go to your monthlies here. And you look going back here till October of 2015. You struggled at 35. December, you struggled there. I mean, one here, you almost got to 36. But just that whole area, $35. And I don't know, Jana, what they can do to, make the company that much more valuable, but the street's going with the momentum.
Jumping over other stocks moving here this morning, had a couple of traders ask me about Disney, why Disney's trading up. Well, you can thank Goldman Sachs adding it to the conviction list here this morning, and DIS is trading up at 113.21 on after the Goldman raises it to the conviction list here. If I'm going out to the book and looking, I'm just looking at the chart and saying, man, 114 looks big. So I got to go into the book and see if I see anything up there at 114. Nothing jumping out at me, but I tend to think there's probably some size kicking around. So if I'm trading Disney, that would be my first bogey is the 114 level. If it could make a new high, take out 114, then, maybe it can blast off to 115. But I think it could struggle in the upper 113s.
Pre-market high comes in at 113.50 on the nose. The recent high of the move is 13.84. That coincides with the whole area that Dennis is talking about. I will give you a fundamental note on Disney. Lisa saw Beauty and the Beast over the weekend, the remake, and she said it's one of the best movies she ever saw.
And it obviously got great reviews there, and we know it had the big pop on that. They got that other movie coming out, what is it, like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that? I think that one's coming too, and they're saying that could be a big one for them too. So Disney's been putting out some blockbusters lately, and I think that's helped the stock as well, because I know traditional media companies haven't been doing as well, but they've obviously got the big movie business as well, and that's been doing okay for them. And you just put it in perspective. I mean, you look at a stock like Viacom, obviously in the media space, and you look at a stock like Disney. Disney has just been a lot better performer there. Really, when we put it in perspective, we're only the all-time high got 122.08, so we're about $9, not even $9 off the all-time highs here. And we were talking back at the end of last year when it got under $100 that the Disney story could be over. That's at least what the media was saying. Well, that's not the case, because Disney is back, and here we are flirting with the high of the move here this morning, trading up 113.21.
Yeah, seem to be shrugging off the turmoil going on at ESPN, cutting some expenses there. I guess you wait. And I read an article too that them going a la carte, I think that's eventually something that's going to happen. That it could actually be a boon for them, because then they don't have to, give the cut to the cable network. So, we just got to keep an eye on that. Just real quick, Yayo, what's going on with the VIX? Absolutely nothing, Dennis. He's thinking maybe it's getting to be a crowded trade. I know this is not an indicator that we pay a lot of attention to here, but just quiet.
It's a lagging indicator in my opinion.
There you
like
go.
You see the market start crashing. Oh, the VIX is going up. So, I could see, the market crash. So obviously the VIX is going up. That's why I kind of think it's a lagging indicator. You're saying it's climbing up though, and we are seeing a little bit more risk, obviously, in some individual stocks are coming into earnings season. So, it's come up a bit, but I mean, we're talking VIX at 14. I like it when the VIX is up at 20, 21, and then it's when you get a little more choppy market. So, yeah, we've rallied a couple points here on the VIX, but I'm still not that excited.
Okay. All right. Also wanted to touch on the price action. We did have a merger yesterday, two trucking companies, and just wanted to comment on the price action because you saw the 2207 takeout price, and I think Downward Dog was pointing out to me I was a little off on my prices. Well, it's quite a bit over 2207, closed at 2477, and Dennis explained that. I put the
Well, you're
chart up
talking
there.
Swift Transportation and KNX. So SWFT and KNX announced a merger yesterday morning. And you've got to look, sometimes people will say, they just see the price and they say, oh, why is it trading up? Well, it's a stock deal. So obviously it's going to be based on the ratio of, of the ratio of how many shares each company is going to get. You were saying, Joel, and I didn't write this one down, is it 0.72
Yes,
is
sir.
the ratio? So SWFT is going to get 0.72 of KNX apparently. So according to Joel, those figures, if they're wrong, blame Joel. But if obviously SWFT or KNX rallied significantly there yesterday, so you have to tack on more because it's rallied so much because it closed and settled down at 30.65. Well, it closed at 34.75. So you're talking about a 12% pop in KNX. So that's going to go directly into SWFT, and you'll see SWFT continue to try to trade in that ratio, that 0.72. And get out your trusty calculator, or I can grab my calculator, and let's just exactly see what the risk or what the discount here is. I'm bringing up my calculator here right now. Bear with me. So if you take the price of KNX, which is closing 34.75, times that 0.72 ratio that you gave me, that gives you 2502. So if you look at SWFT, it's 2477. I mean, it's chopping around, but it's right there. So that's the ratio you got to consider. It's not the actual price that's the thing. It's the ratio you want to look at in stock deals.
All right, we will keep an eye on that.
Jumping over here just to some other stocks in the news. Everybody, is talking about UAL, obviously, in the news. Well, they also had some figures come out yesterday. Just after the close, United reports that March RPMs increased 3%, ASMs increased 3.4% year over year. They see Q1 cargo sales of 205 million to 225 million. So they had some figures come out. They actually did hit UAL a little bit on that last night. UAL is down here again this morning, trading down 2.5% in the pre-market. Obviously, a little bit of a debacle there with the passenger there yesterday. That was all over the news here, and again, some negative publicity from that. Stock trading down here. Joel, talk technically here. And did you watch the video?
I did not watch the video. I heard it this morning on the way in. Also, the United CEO doubles down in an email to employees, said the passenger was disruptive and belligerent. I emphatically stand behind all of you. So basically, ripping the public here. I don't know if that's the greatest move. UAL has always been a very volatile stock here. UAL Continental. You got a pre-market low. You got a low print at 67.10. That might have been an odd lot, so I'm going to call 67 and a quarter the pre-market low, bouncing up to the $70 area. I tell you now, if I was long this thing, I'd really like to see it get back over 70 and hold 70.
Big number.
Yeah, you had a big period of consolidation, and then you break down over it. All those lows at 70. So, it could be a little fake out here coming back, but I'd be keeping an eye on 70 even here in UAL, which has had a nice run since Mr. Buffett got involved in the airlines.
B. Morris talking about Nvidia here. It did have a rough day yesterday. Both Nvidia and AMD both had actually pretty rough days the last couple of days. We know AMD was the victim of Goldman putting that sell rating on it that everybody was talking about, but it had a rough day again yesterday. And Nvidia is now under $100 here once again. That's a big psychological level. You know how I like my 2-day move. There is a low. We got back down to 95.17 on March the 6th. I think it could test that today. So I don't know. We'll see how it responds there, but it is weak here in the pre-market. I think you could see some follow through here again as you get the Johnny come latelys that get nervous from yesterday's move, maybe reading last night saying, "Get me out. I don't want to be in this Nvidia here." So I want to see what it does at 95. If it can hold 95, maybe you try that level there. If it takes out 95, there's a lot of air below. So this chart, which looked awesome 2 months ago, is not looking nearly as good now.
95.17. That's the level Dennis is referring to. That was your March 6th low. Kind of interesting on this one. You had, Andrew left, knock it off the 120 level. You had the earnings where it kind of backed off. Then you had the double analyst downgrade. Remember when we took that from that? You can see on the chart the price action there. And then struggled at 110, and then it was the analyst again that got
specific crest, I think.
Yeah. So
the analysts have been beating this one up.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk about that for a second here, because so many people come out, I'm watching Fast Money last night, and they're all jumping on the Tesla bandwagon, and everybody wants to say, oh, I think it's going to pull back here, but nobody's saying they're bearish the stock. And, and I'll go out and say, I was, not bullish Tesla whatsoever. I was bearish Tesla, but I, wasn't in it because, again, I just don't like shorting rocket ships. I'm still bearish Tesla long term because I don't think the valuation makes any sense. But short term, the momentum is with this thing. Would I want to be short here? Hell no, because everybody seems to want to own it right now. It's going to eventually have some type of significant pullback here, and I think, valuation in the long run works. But, in the short run, stuff can stay inflated for a long time, and Tesla is just loved by the street. But so many of these moves, you can justify with company fundamentals, but so many, you can't even look at fundamentals on something like Tesla because it doesn't make any sense. So you just got to look at, what is really driving the action in a stock like Tesla? It gets an upgrade every other day. So this Tarxon, every time it gets upgraded, it rallies 10 points. Or it gets a price target, analysts chasing price. So, there's a play where you look at analysts, way off, and then, saying, hey, all these analysts are going to have to raise their price targets. All these analysts are going to have to come up. And that's what's really going to drive it, because every time an analyst comes out, it seems to attack 2% on the stock. Opposite with Nvidia here, you've had analysts beating it up. So really the whole weakness here, like you were just saying, Joel, the first time it fell off was a double downgrade. Second time it fell off was a downgrade. I mean, a lot of these moves that we see, and follow-throughs coming afterwards are initiated by analyst action, the research reports. And the research reports matter. And if you're not reading the research reports or not following them, you're missing a lot of market-moving information because they move the stocks here. When stock comes out and gets downgraded, it goes down, seems like 99% of the time. So many of these moves, which people try to justify with company fundamentals, are actually just analyst moves that, are just, jumping on the bandwagon here. And I would say the majority of this Nvidia has been analysts chasing price. But now you look, as the price goes down further, more analysts lower their estimates. So it's kind of like, you get the ball rolling one direction. That's why it continues to roll in one direction, because the analysts all gang up on it. So just like Tesla keeps getting upgrades every other day, it seems like Nvidia is starting to not get the love from the street. So that's, a consideration there when you're trading these things, is watch the analyst ratings because they really move the price around.
Do you want a better example of analysts moving the stock? And you should be able to get this. You should be able. What stock has the analysts in the street just been blown away and moving? I'll give you one guess, Dennis. And I'm not gonna get off.
It's a big one.
It's
like
a
Amazon.
Big one. Yes. Yeah. Look at this. Look at Amazon here.
It gets, and we were even talking, okay, so yesterday Needham, upgrades it, and then we had Michael Pachter on there. He's like, I might have to put my pencil down here because the stock prices come up so much. They've got to come up here again. And Pachter's a great analyst, but he's got to do the same thing. They don't want their price targets to come up to his price target. Well, if I'm still bullish the stock, I got to raise my price target. I raise my price target. Pachter raises the price target. It's probably going up again. So you're right. As analysts continue to chase price here on stocks, as they hit their, in Pachter's case, it's just hit his target. But, if he stays with his $900 target, which I believe he said he had on the stock, and he's still bullish the stock, well, that's not, really, bullish anymore. It's at my price. So either I got to go to a hold or I got to raise my price target. There's one, kind of got the gun in his head. You got to do one or the other. So if he's still bullish the stock, you got to raise the price target. He raises his price target. Stock's probably going up.
All right, Amazon.
So they have to chase price, is what I'm saying. It's not even their fault.
Listen to this, Dennis. You're going to love this. On the April 10th, Needham upgrade, hold the buy, announces a $1,000 price target. On the 4th, BMO maintains its outperform, goes from 900 to 1,200. And then the other two ratings, Loop Capital, they initiated coverage, announced 1100. Barclays initiated coverage at 1200. Oh man, Citigroup maintains all buy ratings, all raising price target. Dennis, are you really trying to get me bearish here, Amazon? I
Everything
mean,
else. But it would be a good study to try to look at, every day, that the analysts raise the price, and if the stock opens up 7 points that day, well, let's see, how much of the actual move is due to analyst action as opposed to company fundamentals. Because I think, a lot of these moves, the majority of the move has been driven by analyst action. So, as opposed to company fundamentals. So when you're on there and they're on their CNBCs and they're on, their Fox Business, they're on all their major news networks and they're justifying these, big moves up here with company fundamentals, call a spade a spade. It went up today because it got upgraded. And that is, a lot of the reasons why. And when this price goes up further, it's going to get more upgrades coming. So it's probably going to continue to go. And maybe that's why we're in such a momentum market here, because everybody just seems to follow analyst action.
Beppy 59 hopping in here. In your opinion, does this apply to all the stocks the same way, or will it apply more to well-known, very liquid names?
That is a fantastic
Go ahead,
question.
Dennis. I'll let you
and it's all about the liquid names, because there's so many smaller stocks that just don't have coverage. So, or most analysts don't cover it. You get into the S&P mid caps or even the small caps, and they have very little coverage down there. And it seems like everybody is on the bandwagon of covering the major names. So that's what gets the major media attention. That's what gets the focus. Sometimes even when you get a smaller company that gets upgraded, it doesn't even get much attention from the media. Where the Amazon, how many times do you hear about Amazon? Need them yesterday. You hear it, all day, the whole day, and that just keeps reiterating. And it's kind of like the media is just pumping at that, and people say, "Oh, I want to be part of this too." All these analyst firms are coming out, so is the very liquid names. I would say that the strategy I just applied to that I was just talking about, where analysts are chasing price, it's almost always more in the liquid names and not so much in the illiquid names.
And Dennis, you talk about one of your strategies is that when if a stock has a great earnings report or good news on it, and a lot of price action, sometimes in the back of your mind you're thinking, oh well, good time for an upgrade, right? And
Yeah.
the opposite works on the downside. Already 22 minutes into the show, we haven't mentioned your favorite stock, Dennis, DryShips.
The stock that reverse split. It did the reverse split, folks. Okay, so closed yesterday 62 cents. 1 for 4 reverse split. Adjusted close is $2.48. Of course, it's trading down from there. It seems like every time it's trading at $2.26. The thing will probably leak down. Then it'll get some massive short squeeze where it'll go from $1 to like $10 in like an hour, and everybody like, dry ships. But then it just continues to leak. So the dry ships leaking ship here leaks here once again. So I don't think they did enough this time. I think it's gonna be back under $1 too quickly. So they should have went to 1 for 10. They'll probably be doing a new reverse split next week.
I mean,
I hate this stock.
How can this just keep happening?
I hate this stock.
Why? How can they keep allowing this to happen?
It's how many reverse? Do you have it in the pro there?
I don't
Can you bring
even
it up
know.
how many reverse
I
splits?
think
We did it
there's-
last time, but it reverse splits every other month. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just to keep it up, just keep it above $1 because they don't want to get delisted. So they just keep reverse splitting the stock to keep it up, and everybody keeps losing their shirt on this. Anybody who buys this thing in the long run just gets hurt. I mean, this has really been trading at virtually zero forever. It just doesn't go there because they keep reverse splitting it. But the adjusted highs, look into what is the all-time high?
I wonder.
Give me the all-time high.
Oh man, how
The
many?
adjusted all-time high. I can see in 2010 it was trading at $80,000 a share.
Okay,
80,000 because it's reverse split so many times.
All right, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
1 million.
1 million?
Yeah.
$1 million?
No.
Share?
Let me finish. 1,516,947.8.
$1,515,000 a share for this thing to hit an all-time high. It's got to go from $2 to $1,515,000 a share.
I'm throwing Nick's chart of it there. That kind of tells the same picture here, but we're gonna have Nick.
$1 million. $1 million a share. That's where this thing was. Wow.
Nick will be on here in just a few.
Anybody who holds this for more than a month pretty much loses all their money. That's why it's
I can't believe anybody
it
trades
just leaks
it.
and leaks and leaks.
Okay, talking about analyst moves here and how can it affect not only a stock that you own, but it can affect other stocks in your sector. Opus Trades is asking, why is Western Digital gapping up $2? Dennis, you have the reason for that.
I wasn't looking at Western Digital, so throw me under the bus if you want there, Joel. But Western Digital actually, it looks like this morning getting an upgrade here from JP Morgan. So
Okay, and
announcing a price target
didn't you
of
say Seagate?
$116. Thanks to the trusty Benzinga Pro for having my back there, because it does look like that is the reason here this morning.
What about Seagate too? Didn't that get? I was thinking that.
It did get some analyst love too. It got upgraded at Longbow. And those two stocks just moved together. WDC and STX, put those two charts on top of each other. They always look similar there. But yeah, STX getting upgraded at Longbow here this morning, and it's trading up 1.5% as well. So analyst action. Whenever you come in and you see a stock trading up 2 points and it's not an earnings report, how many times is it analyst action? Is it like 90% of the time? Probably.
And just on this one, when the market got a little weak and we had that break, and I was like, okay, one of my clean out the portfolio moves that fortunately I didn't do. But I looked at this one and I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to put a stop in. I said, you know what? If it gets under 70 and it stays under 70 here, then I will think of taking it off the table because I didn't want to try and pick a top in it. Then it got down into the lower 70s. Of course, I don't look at it, and now it's at 86.26.
This has got to be one of your best holds ever.
Yeah,
you've been a month. You bought the low on it. When did you buy this stock?
I bought it in June of 16.
June of 20. That is right near the bottom. So like at $40.
Yep, I think 40, 50 or something like that. But
what do you do? Okay, here's longer term scenarios here. Well, you just look like you're holding it forever, but what do you typically do when you double your money on a stock? What do you
take out? I know you'd like to take out half of it, when playing with the house's money. But this is kind of like a longer term thing, so it's not, it's one of these points is that, if I take it out, where do I put it? You know what I mean? Where are you going to reinvest the money? But that's a good trick. You've talked about that several times, and I know it's really saved you on some stocks like OVAS and different ones, but not quite as active.
I do like that strategy. Kramer preaches it too, and it's something that I've always thought of too. When you buy a stock at 40 and it goes to 80, if you sell half, now you're completely playing with the house's money. You've taken your initial investment out, and you can just let it go. I have a lot of stocks in my portfolio that I've done that with. Like Biogen was one that I did it with. And sometimes it's a real bad decision, you feel like, because Biogen I bought at like $47. It got up to like 120 or 130. I sold half. And then, it went up to like 300. I sold half again. And then it went up further, 390 or something. So I've sold Biogen multiple times here. I still have my like original investment dollars in it. The other thing is, when you're a long-term investment portfolio, if you don't, you start to have certain stocks take over your portfolio. So, either you've got to do some reweightings or something, because what'll happen is if you say, hypothetically, you put $5,000 into 20 different stocks, well, they're all going to move around. Some are eventually going to be worth only $1,000 as the market. Maybe you picked a bad one. Some will be worth like $20,000 because they've really moved up. So what happens is that you aren't, nearly as diversified as you once were, because you have certain stocks that just went up so much that they're taking over the portfolio. One for me was MasterCard too. Same thing. I bought the thing. I'm averaging on MasterCard at like $12, I think, or $13 here now. It's up at 113, but I've sold it multiple times on the way up just because, and I wish I had them all still. I wish I still had all the shares, because I'd have a huge amount of profit in sitting in MasterCard if I had them all. But at the same time, I like to stay diversified. So sometimes I just got to lighten up a position just because it's grown too much and it's starting to take over my portfolio.
Okay. All right.
Got to correct you, Joel.
What?
New here is correcting you because the chart you have hasn't adjusted for the 1-for-4 stock split yesterday. So the adjusted new all-time high in DryShips, according to New here, which I believe is correct, is $6,304,340. So you got to get to $6 million now if you bought the all-time high in DryShips to break even.
All right. Let me see. Let me see if my other platform is adjusted for that.
That's really in the regular session this morning. Yeah. So usually they take a day sometimes.
That's right. I should. You know what? Thank you very much, Nero.
Yeah. The $6 million stock.
Yep. That is. Yep. They're right. 6,304,320. So traded a big 2,100 share or 2,200 shares that month.
Insane.
Ridiculous. All right. Do we find the news on Mickey D's yet here for?
No, you know what? I'm looking here this morning. Chat, if you can help me
us
out here
out,
with
chat.
was there some commentary? Well, because I was just searching around here and I can't find anything on McDonald's, but got to be something. It's trading up a buck here in the pre-market. Somebody has said something somewhere on Mickey D's. If you do have the news, let us know in the chat or tweet it at me, and I'll say your name on the show because the stock is trading up a buck here in the pre-market, 131, and the all-time high actually. If you got to go out a little further actually for the all-time high. Well, no, actually it's right there. So we're at 131.96. It got back to in May of 2016. So we are within striking distance of a new all-time high on Mickey D's.
Yeah, the recent high that you had not too long ago, that was 4 sessions ago. That one was 31.58. So 31.96 marks the all-time high. I mean, maybe an institutional seller at 32. I guess the restaurant industry, I mean, I don't know. No one's taking over.
Going to the book.
Yeah, going to take over McDonald's here. But, man, that's been a nice steady march up here. But pre-market high in Mickey D's, let's just give you that as a reference point. And you said it's bid up, right?
Yeah, it's trading fairly active up here. 7,100 shares. It's trading 131, 130.75. I know Nick's saying it's technical. I don't think it's technical though because market's trading down. I think there's somebody has said something somewhere. I know when a stock moves intraday, it can be technical, but so often when you see these pre-market moves, I mean it's only traded 7,100 shares. And everybody all of a sudden look at a chart last night. I don't think that's the case. I think it's probably an analyst or somebody has commented something. Somebody has added to a position. I think there's probably some commentary out there somewhere that is driving this up a buck here this morning. Right. And if it's just a couple hundred shares, you say, maybe it's out to lunch, but it's bid up there at 130.75. It's been bid up there all morning, trading up here. So I'm fairly confident somebody has said something on Mickey D's. There's some news out there somewhere, but I don't see it.
All right, we have here 3 minutes before we're going to take a break.
132
here.
Has 23,000 shares.
That's not much. Dennis, you could take that on your own.
Yeah. Okay, so Super Value, SVU, the stock is trading up 7% here in the pre-market. They are buying Unified Growers. I think it's Unified Growers, $375 million. I guess it's a private little company there. So they're doing some expansions there at Super Value, trying to get something going. SVU stock is trading up 7% here in the pre-market. It's one of those grocery stores that just has not performed well, though. If you go out to the monthlies, this obviously back in 2010 used to be a $17 stock. Even as recently in 2015, it used to be an $11 stock. Now this morning it's a $4 stock, so it's coming back a bit. But it's a stock that seems to not get that much love from the street. We'll see here. It's getting a lift here on this deal. Let's see what happens at 9:30.
And also, Dennis, I just want to get your thoughts. When I looked at the Wells, not the Wells Fargo, when I looked at the Whole Foods, I just figured I'd go check on Kroger here. And I know one special. Yeah, what do you think here? Bit, building a little bit of a base here. Maybe put a little Kroger's in your portfolio.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to put it in my portfolio, but if I was, a little breakout trader, a little breakout there in Kroger, it had struggled there just below 30. You get the breakout day, the close above 30 there yesterday. I could get on board, and every time you trade breakouts here, you got to remember what kind of market you're in. We're in a really choppy market right now, so breakouts aren't working as well. And obviously, this isn't a classic breakout where we're breaking out to all-time highs. This is a breakout where we're just breaking out of a trading range. So it's a big difference there. There's overhead supply in this case, but I don't see much in the 30 handle. I don't see much on the 31 handle. So I do see some air to 32. That'd be a huge move for Kroger. It ain't going to do that overnight unless there's some major analyst action. But just, looking at the chart here, looking a little bit better.
Yeah, nice 2-day move. And it took out a couple highs just under 30. One more stock. Let's cover one more issue here for Downward Dog. Auto Nation here. AN, and all I could tell you here is, 41 is the number to me. You've hit 41 in 3 of the last 4 sessions. Just danced above it, danced below it. So to me, above 41, trading flat here at 40.65. It's only 35 cents ago to take that out. And then a lot of air up to 42 if you're trying to swing trade. Surely wouldn't want to see it come back and take out that low of the move at 39.13. But can you see anything in the book at 41?
It was a nice candle yesterday. Where are you asking me in the book? What price?
41.
Let's go, Luck. Bringing up the buck for Auto Nation. Nah, it's pretty empty, and this is a smaller stock, so I'm not surprised that the book is empty. But trend is not your friend overall, but it was a nice candle yesterday, and it is a little ways away from that downtrend. If you take your Purple Crown and connect all those highs from like 48, 46, 44 all the way down, I could see room to this to 42. But overhead supply like crazy in this thing. The thing's been an awful downtrend. Could you get a short squeeze? Could you get a 2-day pop in this? Yeah, I think there's potential for a 2-day pop. But I don't know if I'm jumping in here and saying the AutoNation pain train is over. You want to get Tricky Nicky? Uh-oh. Did we lose me or did we lose Joel?
No, my first mute trick of the day.
Joel has to do one a day.
All right,
so,
we are going to take.
Go grab Tricky Nicky.
We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break and find Nick Shaheen. Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's pre-market prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Dennis Dick, and we have Nick Shaheen on the line, options expert and author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Nick, how you doing on this Tuesday morning?
Doing great, listening to the show, learning. You guys were debating the Analyst upgrades, how they drive prices. I totally agree with the fact that they do drive prices, but that doesn't make them correct calls. So what I caution with that, what I'm trying to say is don't chase the call, just manage your risk based on your own thesis. So usually I don't trade the tickers unless I have some sort of an idea what I want to do and where. So if a call comes out, then I see how it sits with mine. I evaluate mine over theirs, see if they're in agreement. If they're not, I see how it's going to affect my trade if it has time limits on it.
Nick, I completely agree with you here, and I just want to say, when we're talking to the analysts, how they do move price, they do, and I think you're correct. Like when analysts keep chasing price, actually, it can create bubbles, and I would almost argue Tesla maybe not in a bubble here, technically speaking here, but from a fundamental basis here, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But as analysts continue, and maybe it's not the best example, but you do have situations where analysts all gang up, they all upgrade day after day, twice a week you're getting an upgrade or an analyst raising the target. That creates little bubbles, and those bubbles eventually burst, and then they burst, and then all those analysts got to chase price again, and they knock it all down, and the burst is actually worse. So, so it's something to consider. There is I agree with you. I don't think you can just blindly say, oh, well, Needham's upgrading this, Amazon to 1100. I'm going to buy it because they say it's going to 1100. Because it doesn't always happen. And, when it starts going the other direction and they got to correct those price targets, then you got the double whammy at you, that price action coming down, then the analyst got to chase price is going to knock it down further. So it kind of just inflates moves.
Right. And you mentioned Tesla. I think it's a perfect example because usually, often enough, you find out that the analyst upgrade or downgrade is kind of a duh move. Where were you for the last 1,000 million points?
Right.
And then they finally now say that Tesla is a buy or whatever they upgrade it to. So they seem late to the party. So it's better to develop your own thesis, get intelligence from what everybody else is saying. But then I think we all have enough brains to find out what we want to do. And there are one-offs where the analyst goes out and downgrades something and that something goes up, then that's a really bullish sign saying that even though somebody said something bad, it can't even fall on bad news. So that might be, some legs to the move in the direction in which it's going. And the opposite is correct, obviously.
Sticking along these lines of analysts moving stocks, now you have a big stock here, and you already had the chart of NVIDIA up here. And coming back down to that $95 area, I know, Nick, this is a stock you and I have talked about a lot. I mean, possibly, is the story over here in this issue? I know you mentioned a little bit of a head and shoulders top. What's your thoughts here on NVIDIA?
Well, I'm not an expert in the field, but the way I see it, if they're one of few players that provide brains to the operations of everything that's technical in our lives are becoming more technical. There should be more demand on their products. In the long term, I can't imagine that the enthusiasm was gone. Now, from the technical perspective and entry points, this would be a nibble area, but with the idea that it could get lower. And if it's a long-range trade for me, I would probably start thinking about how I want to catch this knife. And there are ways where actually selling puts is appropriate, and this might be one of them. In essence, you're getting paid now for a chance to buy it lower later. But you have to be ready to commit to buying that stock at the put you're selling. So if I wanted to go long NVIDIA, I would probably sell some downside risk, meaning puts or put spreads at levels where I think buyers will step in, and I can either wait for time to give me income by depleting the value of those puts sold, or use the money to buy some call spreads or in the money calls or however one, or buy the stock. But that doubles up on my risk there. So there are ways to start to catch a falling knife. The only worry about NVIDIA is that it rose so fast in such a short period of time, it leaves a lot of vacuum area down below.
What would make you flip the switch and start wanting to short the thing or sell rallies and saying, okay, yep, this is done, this is going back to the mid-70s? What would you have to see from a technical perspective?
So I don't know exactly where we're trading this morning. But I would see how it handled the dip last time, and I see a couple of dips recently where I thought it was going to go a little bit lower, say towards 92, 91. I think Citron also said something about that. I can't remember his number.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would see how it handles the 95 area, because that is a contention level where it bounced a couple times off of that, and that is the level from which it broke out back in mid-December of 2016. So that level, the bulls of NVIDIA should fight over this level, and it's not a hard line in the sand, it's an area. So I would see how they handle it around there. If it breaks down completely, I can see it technically come down to the next area, which would be 88-ish. And that would be another level I'd be looking for. So if I nibble here, I won't go for both feet in, just because of how fast it rose up to here, not because the story is completely now busted. So this could be just price action in a decent stock. So there are experts in the field of NVIDIA, so their opinion will count. So I would educate myself on that there first. But technically, it is vulnerable, but it has been a viable area in the past few months.
Nick?
What about its brother, their AMD? Give us some technical thoughts on this one, because we know AMD tends to move with NVIDIA here. What are your thoughts here technically, AMD?
AMD is fighting for a level also, and some sort of a trend. Fundamentally, I put them in the same boat, not being an expert in the field, but technically they look like they're behaving the same. They're being challenged currently down at levels that they have been challenged before, with a little bit of room of downside to 1280 something. But a lot of profits fast in a short period of time. So those are, I'm putting a question mark at the end of the sentence, weak hands. I'm not sure. But this is an area where they need to fight for. So again, if I wanted to go long AMD earlier, now is an invitation to start dabbling in it long, knowing that it could get cheaper. So I can use puts, or I can buy a little bit now and buy a little bit later to get into a nice entry point for the longer period of time. So it all depends on my personal thesis and what I want to do with it. But technically, yes, it's under pressure, but it's also at an area where it has found support before. So you see, if that support breaks, then it might shoot to the overshoot downside. So 1250 could come, at which point then, which is also a pivot level if you look further back in time. So you see, it goes from one level to another. So you have to be educated on the fundamentals of whatever you're trading and what levels are meaningful.
What does the Goldman Sachs initiation at a sell rating $11 price target? Is that meaningless to. I mean, it went. I mean, the price action. I mean, it knocked it, and it tried to get back to fill the gap here. So when those kind of things happen, I really keep that 1350 level in my mind here. Does that change your opinion at all on trying to buy this one on the down? As it's coming down.
I don't know their reasoning. If they have I would have to read the
Okay.
article and find out why actually it will be an underperformer. Why did they knock this guy down and not its competitors? Or did they knock down the whole sector? So if there's a specific issue to AMD, then I would have to give that some attention. And the fact you're right that it gapped down and now it's under that 1350, which seems to be forward resistance, or at least for the last three candles, I have to see how it handles 1350. So if it matures and the thinking is the buyers step in and they say, screw that, I'm buying that, and they recover that 1350. It's kind of like oil recovering 50. So
Good point.
what they do here is important.
From the chat here, from John Vitale, how do you feel about Google? We'll go with the L on this one. Pull back. I don't know if that would look like a little bit more than a 50% retracement. To me, I just think you just have to, wait for earnings to come out on this thing, and then we'll move 50 or 100 points one way or another.
Yes, I agree. I was short Google last week, and I booked some profits there. I think I noted that to you. Yesterday's candle was not very pretty, and it had moved up and hit a couple of targets, fell short of one, but I'm not inclined to buy it ahead of earnings just because of what earnings can do. If I wanted to play the earnings, I'll make sure it's small money where I'm willing to walk away from. Something I usually say is not too big to break the piggy bank or my heart, but it would make me happy if I hit it. The way I like to play Google is on extremes. I like to sell the extremes. So if people sell it hard and there's nothing changed, then I would step in with big credit put spreads or sold puts. In order to go long Google in a big way that way on a fundamental basis. And I just need to pick my entry points. Right here, it's kind of stuck in no man's land. I can see if it loses the 830, I mean, I can make a technical argument for 825. But that would be important to hold because then it would be a pattern that is not conducive to higher prices. More so it's like must bounce or lose another $20, $30. So I would look on the downside if market's correct in the next few days, 825, and then the next level below would be 815. I'm not calling for these levels, but if I'm long, I have to be prepared to see them.
Nick, Rob Hood wants to know about Canadian Pacific, symbol CP. Stock had a pretty good day yesterday popping up, but it has been in a range as well. What are you seeing in the chart in Canadian Pacific?
Wow, choppy. I don't know the fundamentals. Is it in the transport? It must
rail.
Trade.
Yeah,
right, so it
rail.
must trade with the transports, which have been interesting to watch. So I see where I can't chase it up here. I don't know what it's doing this morning, but it seems to have a range where this is the upper end of it. And if I was sniping a long entry, unless I know why I should chase it from here fundamentally, technically, yes, it could have triggered some sort of a few days ago, a breakout of sorts, but it's pretty close to the upside target of that. And it being in the zone where it's at right now, I would be afraid to commit new longs up here.
Let's talk about Goldman Sachs for John Vitale here. Now, I've noticed these things. We could talk about Goldman Sachs, and then also we could talk about the financials. Overall, coming in a big, big day on Thursday. But, man, 255 to 220. And, man, if there's a dead cat around here, that looks like a dead cat bounce to me. What's your thoughts here on Goldman Sachs?
So I'm a strong believer in extreme overshoots. People, when they trade something, it's like a pendulum.
You gave us Gluskin, Schiff and Associates. You didn't give us Goldman Sachs.
What was that? Oh,
Gluskin, Schiff and Associates.
That's weird.
Okay.
Call him back. Call him back on your show. That was I typed GS and that came up. Thank you. I was like, where are my marks?
That's okay. I got our chart up if you want to do that, or if
no, that's okay. That's okay. Here we go.
Okay.
So Goldman Sachs had a band where it was used. It was kind of consolidating, but it had overshoots. That's the upper rectangle below it and above it. But then it lost it in a big way on 321, and now it's settled down to where it's a neckline of sorts where it needs to hold or test the bottom. It kind of like went through. So it's with the financials, okay, in the past few months, this could be an entry point because they defended it quite a few times. But with earnings just starting this week, at the end of the week, on Thursday, I believe we have Citigroup, JP, and Wells. So here's what I usually do with the earnings on banks. Because they report back to back to back to back right away, I usually use, if I wanted to play Citigroup earnings, I use Goldman Sachs options, for example, something that's going to report after it, because they're going to move in unison most likely. So if Citigroup rallies, Goldman is going to rally. But if Citigroup doesn't rally, my premium in Goldman is not going to go to zero because its event is still to come. So it's kind of like a freebie play on an earnings. So that's how I would play them. But as far as entry points, because of earnings, I probably manage open risk. I wouldn't initiate anything new. And if I do, it'll be lotto size, meaning small amount that's not going to break me. But technically, it's kind of like stuck in a place where I could sell puts longer dated. So if I like Goldman at 200, I'd sell puts down there or put spreads, but I can't buy the stock outright right here.
Okay, Nick, we haven't asked you the last few times you've been on the show, but price line here, we've got to ask you about it today because the stock has been in consolidation station here, and we know this is one of the stocks you love to trade, or at least write puts on here. PCLN, technical thoughts as we are sitting here at 1775.
It's pretty dang high. It's market dependent. It trades like a micro cap, really. So be careful what you do with it. That's why I never trade it shorter term, meaning I do options on it, only longer dated. So I sold naked puts in it. I sold naked calls in it, and I just book them way early. And you usually can scalp dollars if you catch the swing high or low. Right now, I'm doing nothing. I have an 1800 lottery call on it that I bought with profits when I closed my last trade on it. So I'm just sitting on a lottery ticket over 1800 for a price line mega move on and earnings. I'm not foreseeing it. I just threw some money at it as a lottery ticket would give me hope without any thought over it. So right here, I'm not writing long trades in it, and I'm afraid of the super spike given this, self-professed, animal-spirited market. So I don't want to short too many things. I'm more comfortable shorting the market in general than shorting a name like Priceline or Tesla or Amazon. So right here, it's a no touch for me. But if it does dip, I would sell puts in it. If it super spikes after the fact, I could sell calls in it temporarily. But it's kind of a place where I don't do much with it.
One more for you here. Alibaba back over 110, 111.88. Went out near the highs of his session. 121 even. I'll remember that all-time high back for September. What are you looking at in Alibaba?
Well, this was a technical breakout on top of a technical breakout, and really, if you know some technicals, you would have said to yourself, "I shouldn't short that thing, and I probably should throw some calls in it." I said the first one, I didn't say the second one to myself, therefore I missed the move. But it is a breakout in progress. This is a weekly chart, by the way, so every candle is 1 week to better show the potential that had broken out there. So for me, it's a too high to chase, too hot to short type of a deal. So I'll wait for better entry points long. And if I wanted to short it, I would probably use debit put spreads near the money and out in time, say May or longer. This way, I don't have to, I give myself time to be right, and I don't have to guess the size of a drop. Any drop will make me money.
We've been on the line with Nick Shaheen. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads, giving us a technical and fundamental look at the market. It's a pleasure as always, Nick. We'll be talking to you next Tuesday.
I can't wait for it, guys. Thank you.
All right, 853 S&P's in a quiet range. We did dip down to 47.50. That matches the low from yesterday, so we got a good level on the downside. Coming on the upside, the pre-market high 55.75. Not much up there. Remember, yesterday's high was 23.63 and a quarter. About 5 minutes here left. Dennis, where would you like to go?
Well, let's just talk imbalances here first. Twitter, 127,000 to sell. Seems like every morning Twitter has a sell imbalance. That's a big one, though. Bigger than normal, anyways. And the stock is trade down 4 cents here in the pre-market. It had a green candle yesterday, though, Joel. It's the first one in a week. So is there hope in Twitter?
I don't know. I mean, just hanging. I don't even have it on my screen anymore. So
I take it off the
it's
screen.
off the screen. So that's. I mean, what do you do with a stock that's sitting, 60 cents from its all-time low and not bouncing? I looked at the. It's been in a buck trading range here for the better part of the last 10 sessions. A lot of that trading range has been lower highs and lower lows. Last 5 sessions, lower lows in a row. Maybe it's trying to find a bottom here. Obviously, you're out at any print under 1373, but this is just dying a slow death here.
Yeah, it's been trouble for Twitter. Other imbalances here. GIS, 30,000 to sell. Food stock, Ford, 151,000 to buy. That's going the opposite direction of the market. Just trying to look here. Philip Morris, 28,000. So they're very mixed. They're very small. So I'm not seeing that much jump out of me. Caterpillar, 29,000 to buy. ExxonMobil, 34,000 to buy. Chevron, 26,000 to buy. I haven't looked at USO even here this morning. It's just kind of hanging out, trading down 3 cents in the pre-market. You know what? One sector I wanted to talk about was the retailers because they've been starting to show some life. Kohl's showing a little bit of life down here. Nordstrom showing a little bit of life. JWN, even jumping over to the Macy's train. Just consolidating here under $30, and they're not going down anymore, and that's a positive at least. We're trying to find positives here in the big box stores, and they seem to in the last week and a half have stopped going down. Do you think we could, maybe have a little short squeeze in some of these big box stores here? I know J.C. Penney was even showing some life yesterday. Had a candle, snuck its head above $6. I don't know. I feel like retail. I don't know why. I feel like retail could have a good day today.
Yeah, you're pretty good. I mean, it's not, it looks like
Just
the overall.
feel.
Yeah, just that's important. Just the overall market looks kind of lazy here, so you never know when the laggards are going to pick up here. SHLD, let's take a look. That one I can't figure out. They should say they're going bankrupt more. Oh, someone's making a stand here at $12 here. You had that spike into the 12 handle, but this one, 11 to 12, trade to range. Which way it's going to go, break above 12 or down below 11. Dennis, any final thoughts here?
I just want to stick with the retailers just for a
Sure.
second. Jamie from Bright is messaging me. He's listening to the show. Hey, Jamie. And he's saying check out a couple other retailers, too, with buy imbalances here this morning that I missed. The Gap, GPS, 82,000 to buy, and AEO, 74,000 to buy here. So thanks, Jamie, for that info. We got a couple buy imbalances and a couple of retailers there, which is going with my little feel thesis here. I don't know why. I just feel like the retailers like Kohl's, maybe even Dillard's, I feel like they could have an okay day today.
Just under 14. The AEO is a little harder to spot. If it really gets in the rally mode, look over the triple top at the 1450 area. It also had some consolidation. The other one, GPS, it's a little bit easier to pick out the resistance here at 25. Going back 8-10 sessions, you had one high right at 25 and a couple lows surrounding it. So keep an eye on 25 in GPS. All right. Anything else, Dennis? Was there any ratings that we missed or anything on our checklist?
We could fly through just quickly here. So not a lot of major ones. We talked the Disney conviction list, obviously from Goldman there. But Toll Brothers getting upgraded, TOL upgraded RBC this morning. We've got Yelp catching an upgrade. We should talk about this one. Yelp, because this has been kind of hanging out, and it's getting an upgrade here this morning. Pacific Crest upgrading to overweight, putting a $43 price target on the stock. Stock is trading up almost a point here in the pre-market. It hasn't been pretty, and there is a lot of overhead supply in the upper 34s here, but it's getting a lift here this morning.
All right, 34. Let's see where we're trading in the pre-market action before I make anything up here. Looks like 33.75 is your pre-market high. We hit that a few times. 34, looks like 34 even is your 4-day high, and you missed that just earlier in March that you had a high there. Johann Smith, CMG, let's just take a look at this one. I was looking at this one above 450. Where's it in relation to that? Still hanging up there, man. 450. It's hanging. Maybe a break above 460 would confirm. But could this stock finally be out of the woods?
I'm not going to say that, but it looks okay on the charts here. It's been coming back here. I mean, this is a stock that just has really, it got hit, but it's come back so much, and I don't really get it because, maybe people are actually starting to come back to these stores, but it was already kind of expensive to begin with. So from a valuation perspective, I still don't like it. Technically, yeah, it's back. The love is back. Get above 460, could be a breakout mode again.
And that maybe Ackman's got this one right. Okay, we're going to wrap things up here on the show tomorrow. We will have J.C. Peretz, the author of All-Star Charts, at 8:35. Just a reminder to check out Benzinga Pro, real-time news service with up-to-date information. If you missed any part of today's show, you can listen to the whole thing again on our podcast. Find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher by searching PreMarket. Please always remember that all the information, material, and content from our show is for informational purpose only and not meant to be investing advice. Thanks for listening to the show for today. We'll be back with you in the morning.
Whether you're a short-term swing trader or a long-term investor, you need to check out Thinkorswim, brought to you by TD Ameritrade. There's a reason why Thinkorswim has been named the #1 trading platform, because it has it all. With Thinkorswim, you can trade stocks, options, futures, forex, and virtually every other type of order. Get notifications on mobile devices and interact with other traders in chat rooms. You can also use technical indicators and see the latest investing and trading education in Think Money magazine. If you want to keep up with the markets, you need Thinkorswim. To experience everything Thinkorswim has to offer, open a TD Ameritrade account today. Thinkorswim, the online trading platform for traders and investors. TD Ameritrade, member SIPC. All investing involves risks.